Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and this is my DFS preview for the 2022 Wells Fargo Championship. Now, the purpose of these previews is to go over all the pieces required to hit the optimal lineup this week, which means we're going to be looking at past optimal lineups for salary construction. We'll look at the golf course, which is not new to the tour, but it is new to this event. The last time we saw it was the 2018 Quicken Loans National, which I think Francesco Molinari won. We'll also look at the tournament information just to see what pieces we can use for research and any value we can get from that. And then we're going to end the video with the bucket system, which just gives us a good idea of which stats matter and which stats do not. But first, before we get into any of that, I'll remind you guys of all the giveaways that I'm running this week. The first one being a subscriber giveaway. If you want a chance to win $30 this week, be subscribed and comment down below. If we reach a goal of 400 subscribers, you can see it on the screen right now, I will run this goal, or I'll run this giveaway at the end of the week. Now, if we don't hit that goal, I'm going to shave $5 off this giveaway and run it again next week. And I'm going to continue to do that until it gets down to $10. And once it gets down to 10, I'll just run the giveaway for how many subscribers we have right then and there. However, if you want a chance to win more money and you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. The whole purpose of this giveaway is to help grow the channel and reward you guys for participation. So really, whatever comes first, we hit 400 subscribers or we reach $10, which should happen in what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. So it's really up to you guys. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Help everyone else out who wants to win this money. All your entries every single week. Remember, you can get an entry during the preview video, the strategy video, the prize picks video, because I put a video up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You can get 3 entries every single week just on YouTube. And then you can get a 4th entry by retweeting this on Twitter. So you can get 4 a week. And whenever we run that giveaway, you're just increasing your chances to win. Ask Jim Lemoyne. Jim has commented on every single video of mine. He won last week's giveaway. And that's primarily because I think he had the best chances to win. Him and Shot Like Harden. They always comment on my videos. So always appreciate that, guys. Thank you. And heck, I will shout you out if you are participating on this channel. I have no issue doing that because I do appreciate it, and I want to thank you guys for that. All right, that was a long-winded way to say if you want to win money, be subscribed. But again, if you need a comment or if you need a topic to comment about, give me your favorite 9K golfer. Now, the second giveaway that I do is a prize picks giveaway. Prize picks is a fun way to play fantasy sports. If you haven't signed up for it yet and you're in a state that allows it, I have a link in the description that'll send you straight to the sign up page with the promo code SweetSpot already populated. And you don't even need to hit that link. But if you do go to Prize Picks and you sign up, use the promo code SweetSpot. And then if you put $20 in your account, I'm going to get a report saying, hey, this person signed up. They put money in their account. I'm just then going to give you $20. I'll reach out to you through the email you use on that site and say, hey, how would you like your $20? That way you can play this for free. And a great thing, Prize Picks is going to match your deposit up to $100. So if you only put 20 bucks in and I give you that 20 back, you're actually going to have 40 in your account and it's going to be free to you. Well, it's going to cost you some sign up information, but I mean, that's just your effort. There's not a monetary thing there. But you can always deposit up to $100 and take full advantage of that deposit match. So that's afforded to you guys. Again, link in the description below. Highly suggest you guys go sign up. And then you guys can follow along with me when I go through all of this stuff because I am providing a cheat sheet in the description below. Go ahead, click on that link. It'll get you to a site where the Google Sheet is being stored. All I ask is make a copy of it. That way you get to mark it up however you'd like. And it's yours. You get to keep it. Also, I will have an optimizer ready tomorrow. If you want to use that optimizer this week, got to be subscribed to the channel. And also leave a comment down below. Plus, you will have to email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com. Say that you're interested in the optimizer. All right, let's go ahead and get into this thing. That's enough with the giveaways. It's very long giveaway section. All right. Tournament, Wells Fargo Championship. We already know that. It was established in 2003. This week, it's being played at Potomac, Maryland. Field size 156 players, which is the largest field that we normally see. The Zurich is 160 players, but that's teams of 2. This is an individual tournament, so this is your largest field size. Top 65 in ties, which just means getting 6 of 6 through the cut is going to probably be a bit more difficult than usual. Now, this tournament was played, or I should say this golf course was used in 2017 and 2018 at the Quicken Loans National. Prior to that, I think 2013 was the last time it was used, and that was for the Mid-Atlantic, which was not a PGA Tour event. So my data only goes back to 2013. So the average win score of -14 is the average between 2 numbers. Francesco Molinari won this at 21 under in 2018. And I forget, let me double check here. Kyle Stanley won this in 2017 at this golf course, I should say. He won at -7. Him and Charles Howell III tied, -7. So you had one winner at -7, you had one winner at -21, which just shows you anything can happen at this golf course. Now the average win score is -14, but obviously that gap between 21 and 7 is way larger than that. The average cut score, though, one year it was +1, the other year was +4. So it's a tough golf course, needless to say. I think scoring conditions can get easy when the weather's cooperating, the golf course is soft. I'm not sure what to expect this week. We can always speculate as to what's going to happen. I think the comment I've heard around the industry is this golf course is probably going to play easier because in the summer months, the golf course bakes out. It gets firmer. It gets tougher. Here in the springtime, it's going to be softer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I really don't know. When we talk about the grass, I'll talk about the grass right now. Bent grass is all the way around this golf course. Bent grass requires heat. It requires a lot of moisture to grow. So, and I shouldn't say heat as in it needs a lot of heat. It really doesn't, but just like any grass, you still need heat. That tells me that the course is going to be softer, in my opinion. I've never really noticed a bent grass that was firm and fast because of how much water is required for bent grass. I'd just be really surprised that it's going to play firm and fast. We'll see. No idea. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm echoing what most people have said throughout the industry. So I think that might be true, which means scoring conditions are going to be much easier than, -7. I think we're probably seeing more of a -20 as the winning score than a -7. Going back to the tournament information, strength of field, 255. This is my own, what I interpret what OWGR provides us, like how to determine strength of field. I was off by 10 points last week. I'm always within 10 points, and to be honest, I'm always under. I'm never over. So I'm thinking I'm missing a piece when it comes to your home tour because there's additional points added for home tour. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's like additional points added for how many top 10 golfers are in the field. So 255 is probably on the low end, but either way, 255 is a little lower than average. But if you take out the majors and you take out, the WGC events, any limited field that has a lot of high ranking golfers in the field, this is pretty much average. Like 250, like 225 to 250. If you take out those big events, it's pretty average. Like the Memorial Tournament's going to have a lot of golfers. The Genesis Invitational is going to have, I shouldn't say a lot of golfers, it's going to have a high strength of field. Those tournaments you would, include with this one because they're not major championships and they're not limited field events. Either way, all I'm trying to say is it's decent. And unlike last week at the Mexico Open, where I think the strength of field was 151, if you took the top ranked golfer, which was Jon Rahm, out of that field, it was a 100, like on the button, 100 rank or strength of field tournament, which rates down there with like Corrales, Punta Cana and tournaments like that. It would definitely be one of the lower strength of fields. So this is a good strength of field. That's all I'm trying to get at. It's a good strength of field. Weather, 71 degrees Thursday, 67 Friday. Looks like there's rain in the forecast for both days. So that's just going to make it a little softer. It's Monday. So you have to take that into account. Weather changes by the minute, by the hour. So what I say here on Monday is probably not going to apply. Definitely double check your wind weather forecast Wednesday night before lineup, or Thursday morning before lineup lock. And it looks relatively tame for wind, at least what I saw. Again, this is subject to change because that's just how weather is. So again, double check Wednesday. Course information, TPC Potomac at Avenel Farm, 2018. Those are the last 2 years this tournament was played on tour, dating back to 2010. So do with that as you will. For me, I actually included that in the course history. I'm not going to talk about it with the buckets because it's too long ago. There's been a lot of renovations to this golf course already, but I'm still going to include it. So you're going to still see it on that cheat sheet. If you want to use it, use it. I really don't have one say or another. You're going to have a good sense of how golfers have performed at this course before, and it might give you a little bit more confidence, which it should. It definitely would for me. So I don't know. You do with that as you will. So par 70, 7,100 yards. I think it's like 104 yards per par, which is, it's higher than average, just barely. So it's a good size for a par 70. Again, bent grass pretty much all the way through. Your rough is going to have a mix of fescue and Kentucky bluegrass, which should be fairly easy to hit out of as long as it's not wet. If it's wet, all grass becomes hard to hit out of, like the longer it gets. So I don't know. Bluegrass, to me, I've played in bluegrass before. It's not difficult. And fescue is more of a thinner blade of grass. So when you mix that with bluegrass, it just seems like it's going to be either in the middle of the pack or a little bit easier to hit out of than, say, Bermuda or Paspalum or anything like that, like thicker grass like that. Yeah, that's all I have to say about grass. And then I looked at the entire golf course. It doesn't, I'll say this, there are some points in the golf course where you really can't hit driver. Or if you do, you got to be really, really accurate. That's why you don't see any off the tee shot shapes required. If I were to say a shot shape that matters more than another, actually, I think it's pretty much tied. I think if I, like, basically I forecast a lot of these holes, golfers are not going to hit driver off of. But if they did, you probably have 2 holes where you need a draw and 1 hole where you need a fade, which then would just equal out how many draws and fades you needed. I don't really think shot shapes are going to be really required at this golf course. I would suggest if you're interested, go to TPC Potomac at Avenel Farm, Blue Golf. Just put Blue Golf, all one word. You can sign up for free and use their course tour, and you can kind of see like the layout of this golf course. It's kind of cool. I think it can be really difficult for guys who spray the golf ball because there's a lot of waste areas, kind of like swamp areas, that if you hit into, I don't see how you're hitting the ball out of it. So definitely take a look at that. I think it's going to put a premium on driving accuracy. I'm not positive on that. I think a lot of people are going to be hitting fairway woods or irons off the tee on some of these difficult driving holes, but I could be wrong. Those that do spray the golf ball, so I'll say this. I think length gets mitigated at this golf course. And if you do look at some of the past top 10s at TPC Potomac, again, 2017, 2018 Quicken Loans, you're going to see a lot of accuracy guys at the top. I mean, Kyle Stanley won. He tied with Charles Howell III that one year. And then also Francesco Molinari won in 2018. He's an accuracy guy as well. I'm not saying disregard length at all. I think this is just a smart guys golf course. So if you can look at strokes gained smart guys, that's probably where you want to be, which I know it's not a thing. But that is the tournament and course breakdown, essentially. Let's go ahead and talk about past optimal lineups. So in 2017, this tournament was not played at Quail Hollow. And actually, I should mention that why it's being played at TPC Potomac this week or this year is because the President's Cup is being played in the fall at Quail Hollow. I don't know why they need to do that. Like last year when we had the US Open at Torrey Pines, we still had the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines. I'm not sure if it's like, I don't know. I don't think there's an advantage to play right now because the President's Cup, I think, is in, it's going to be in the fall, sometime end of summer, fall. I can't remember. September, I think. So I don't understand why they feel like they can't. This is the second time Quail Hollow has done this. So Eagle Point is what they played in 2017. Your pass optimal lineup there was 6,700, 13,000, 8,900, 667. So DraftKings in 2018 changed to basically no golfer was over, 12,000. Or if they were, it was like 12,300, 12,500, I think at the most. No one ever went 13 and above. So I think they reined in their salary construction or what they provided salaries for players in 2018, and that's kind of where we have normalized salaries. So 2017 you can kind of just ignore, if I'm being honest. 13,000, you're just never going to see that again. So moving on from there, 2018, when we get back to Quail Hollow, it was 49,000 on the button, and it included a 10K golfer, an 8K, 2 7s, a 9 and a 7. Wow, never mind. A 10-9. That is insane. A 10-9-8, 7-7-7. I'm just perplexed because it's only 49,000. It almost doesn't feel right. But everything is low. You have a low 10, a low 9, a low 8, 2 low 7s, and then a mid 7. So that would make sense. 49,000. Now, do I suggest you guys leave $1,000 on the table? No. Obviously, we see that with the optimal. But if we just go ahead and change out Bryson for Paul Casey, one placement point different. Now your salary is $49,900. You're only leaving $100 on the table, and you're probably still taking down a GPP. So I wouldn't be too concerned about leaving a lot of money on the table. But you're going to see that as I keep going through here. 2019 optimal lineup was 48,500, and that was a 6, 7, 9, 9, 6, 8. So to say that differently, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6, or 6, 6, 9. Hold on, my bad. It's a 9, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, which is very unique. Never really seen that salary construction before. I don't think you should worry yourself about that because I have a realistic optimal that's more than 49, or you're leaving only $700 on the table, and that's a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6. So if I had any piece of advice to give you, I like to build my lineups. I usually like to start building my lineups with a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 startup. Something like that. So I have those 5 positions usually locked in. Now, whether it's going to be an additional 6K golfer or an additional 7K depends on who I like in the 10 and 9K range, essentially. Because if you have a high 10K golfer mixed in with a high 9K golfer, you really have no option other than to go to 2 6s. But here you can see leaving $700 on the table. We didn't use a high 10K golfer, but we did use a high 9K golfer. So it's really up to you. And in all reality, I mean, what you could do is go, 10, 7, 6, 9, 8. See, where am I going with this? Can we go 7,100? Yeah. So that's 49,700. So you really could go 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 and still probably win a GPP. And this one would only be leaving $300 on the table. So don't get caught up leaving a lot of money on the table. I don't think it's really wise or smart to do so. Now, if we look at 2021, which was last year, and again, this was at Quail Hollow and not at TPC Potomac, 49,400 was used for the optimal lineup. So you're leaving $600 on the table. The GPP winning lineup didn't leave any money on the table. But your optimal was a 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Again, your traditional lineup build. Now that optimal had a 10, 9, 8, 6 start up in the top, and then 2 7s. So again, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, or 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. And that used up all 50,000. And it only had 4 golfers inside the top 10. So you don't have to leave a lot of money on the table, but kind of showing you can be comfortable leaving some money on the table. I always put my criteria always greater than 49,000, and obviously 50 is my top. I don't mind using all $50,000. You're going to see more GPP winning lineups using up all 50,000 than you're not. Well, I don't remember the percentage. I think it's like 30%, 35, 40%, something like that of most GPP winning lineups use 50,000. Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe it's 25%. I'd have to look back into it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but either way, you don't have to leave a lot of money on the table this week. Okay. Going from here, what I want to do is just talk about the buckets. And this is going to be fairly quicker than usual because we're not going to be talking about last year buckets. There's no purpose because this is TPC Potomac. This is not Quail Hollow. There's no purpose in talking about last year buckets or course history buckets. So we're going to just take those right out of the mix. There's just no point. So last year we'll take out and course history we'll take out. So we're only going to be focused on last week's performance, recent form, salaries, and strokes gained stats. Now, I do have in here projections to kind of get you guys an idea of which golfers you should be kind of targeting this week. So let's go ahead. And by the way, I do have a bucket system video down in the description of this video. Check it out if you're unfamiliar with the bucket system. It's an 18-minute video that I think you only need to watch the first 5 minutes to really understand the bucket system. But if you want to watch the full 18-minute video, go check it out. It explains it in depth and straight to the point. I don't want to spend a lot of time discussing what these numbers are. So anyways, looking at just the last week buckets. Now, last week at the Mexico Open, it was a golf course we've never seen before. And I wasn't sure what to do with the Zurich Classic. But I said, typically, when you don't know what to do, always include one golfer who topped 20 the previous tournament. So that's what we did with the Zurich. Pick a golfer who missed the cut at the Zurich. And then pick a golfer who didn't play. Anchor your lineups around those three types of golfers. We kind of have a similar situation this week where we're at a different golf course, same event though, not quite sure how much of it sticks and if we really care to think any of it sticks. So I would suggest the same thing. Find someone who topped 20 last week, find someone who missed the cut, and find someone who didn't play and anchor your lineups around those guys. Now, usually what I would want to tell you is like we're looking at the projections and say, hey, last week ones, you want somewhere between, usually I would say you'd want somewhere between 1 to 3. This week it's only 0 to, just over 1. So really it's 0 to 2. And it's not something I'm very comfortable telling you guys you should play. The only thing I have comfort in is every single year it's at least one golfer from this bucket has finished inside the top 10. These projections involve the success rate as well as the strength of field numbers that the golfers basically provide to this bucket. So the 17 golfers that are in there, I'll show you who they are. So we go to last week ones. Again, you can follow along with me looking at that cheat sheet. We're looking at last week ones, and we come to the strength of field rating. Tony Finau is the highest ranked golfer in this bucket. He's providing 12 strength of field points. Look at the rest of the guys. They're basically no-namers. We know some of them. Some of these are DFS darlings, but most of them not, golfers we should really care about that much. But I still think one golfer from here finishes inside the top 10. And if I'm giving you my favorites, I do like Tony Finau this week. I think he's going to be a great option. Anirban Lahiri, since he made his clubs heavier, has improved his entire game. He's had really good results since the Players Championship, and I think he made that change with his clubs, shortly before that. So obviously you saw success at the Players Championship. We even saw success last week at the Mexico Open. I don't mind Anirban Lahiri here, and especially with his good course history. Again, this is course history at TPC Potomac. This is probably just one event, though. When it's an even number like that, it usually just means one event was played. Steven Yeager also has a 13 for course history. I'm not going to really concern myself with Steven Yeager. I think I'll just leave that one be. I do like Kurt Kitayama this week. I also like David Lipsky. I don't mind Brandon Wu. So these are some golfers I don't mind playing. I'm probably going to stay away from the likes of Martin Traynor. Last week, you could hit the driver basically anywhere you wanted. Not necessarily, but sort of. And I think that helped him out. Kelly Craft, I don't know enough about his game. I don't think he's really playing all that well this year. I'm going to stay away. Don't care too much about Jonathan Bird, although I did play him at Mexico Open last week. Satoshi Kodaira is an interesting choice. Again, I think this is more of an accuracy type of tournament or a golf course. I think Satoshi is a pretty decent play. I'm not going to run through all these guys, but I still think there's going to be one guy who finishes inside the top 10. So I'll definitely be grabbing at least one golfer, in all of my lineups from this pool right here. Let me just actually look at the missed cut golfers from last week. We can take a look to see how many there were. There are 40 golfers in that bucket this week. We're forecasting somewhere between 0 to 2. So just like the top 20s from last week, missing the cut here, I think is going to produce somewhere between 0 to 2 golfers inside the top 10. Again, I think you want to anchor your lineups around these guys. So looking at them, everyone is $7,300 and lower. So this is where you can get your value plays, which is really interesting, if I'm being honest. Looking at strength of field, there isn't anyone that really pops out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys inside the top 200 that are in this bucket. Make your pick. I know a lot of people were on Russell Knox, who was $9,200 last week. $9,200. Now he's 73. And yeah, the strength of field is 100 points stronger than it was last week. But is it really warranted to drop his price that low? So I don't mind like a Russell Knox. I think that's pretty decent value. A lot of good golfers here. I don't mind going back to Duncan. I played a lot of him last week. Same goes with Kramer Hickok. I played a lot of him. I don't mind going back to those guys. I don't mind going back to Chad Ramey. I'm probably going to say that about a lot of these guys. Let me just tell you the guys that I'm probably not going to play. Not getting there with Van Pelt, Vanderwalt, Cook, Blix, Knaus. I'm, scraping the bottom of the barrel here, which I think are just easy ones to avoid. Not going to go with Wolf. I know Gachesky was like somebody everyone liked last week. I'm not going to go there. Don't care about Wagner or McGreevy or No or Reeves or Wierenski or Barjan, although I do like his game. I don't mind going back to Vincent Whaley. I really don't. Vince Whaley is what he goes by now. So I wouldn't mind playing him. And I think that's probably where I'm just going to leave it. I don't mind playing Villegas. I stay away from Bon Taylor. He withdrew last week. Remember that. I can't remember what for. Check DraftKings to see if they have that information. Don't mind a Roger Sloan. Again, I think this is more of an accuracy course. And I think a lot of these guys down here in the 6K range are mostly, accuracy type of guys. Not so much taking advantage of their length. And then we got a ton of golfers that didn't play last week. So that one's headed by Rory McIlroy. Easy enough to say play him. And again, if this is going to be an accuracy course, Corey Connors, Fitzpatrick, Hatton, those are all guys known for their accuracy. Leishman, not so much, but his iron game when it's dialed in, pretty darn good. Bradley, Henley, we could say pick 4 golfers from this bucket. And in fact, if we're looking at it, last week's 6s, we're forecasting somewhere between 3 to 6. So yeah, you can grab 4 from this bucket. Pretty easy. It looks like your value bucket's going to be the missed cuts. And then obviously pick 1 or 2 guys. If it's not Tony Finau, then you have some good support players that don't cost that much from that bucket. Like, again, the Kurt Kitayamas, the David Lipskys. Those guys are in the 7K range. Those are great golfers to fill your lineups with. And everything in between, you do with it as you will. Nothing is for certain. Everything is under 1 for a max projection. We're really close with the last week 3s, which is that 40 to 60 range. but still everything is projected at 0 to 1. So there is absolutely no confidence in me to tell you grab a golfer from any of these buckets. That's all play at your own will or at your own discretion. Also, don't play more than, first of all, don't play more than 2 golfers from either of these buckets. But also, probably don't play more than 1, if I'm being quite honest. Like, it's 1 from, you know, any, you can pick 1 from this bucket, 1 from that bucket, 1 from that bucket, that's it. But I also wouldn't mix these guys up. Like, I'm probably grabbing most of mine from the did not plays from last week, and 1 from the miscut, and 1 from the top 20 from last week. And I'm probably staying away from some of these guys here. But totally up to you. You can see it on the screen. Not a lot of success in those buckets. Probably just stay away. But up to you again. Now going into the recent form buckets. So last week would be your most recent form, you know, since it was last week. Recent form is spanning back 7 weeks for me. I always look at the last 7 weeks to see what their average finishing position was, and then whatever that average is falls under these buckets. Now, usually you want to stick somewhere in between 1, 2, 3 or 2, 3, 4. You know, picking one golfer from each of these buckets. I really don't have a full tell. Most of the guys fall under this 20 to 60 range, which most tournaments are like that. So I really don't have an issue if you want to grab some golfers from here. It does look like having better recent form is better than bad recent. I know that sounds weird. As I'm saying it, I'm like stopping myself trying to say, hold on, that's a weird way to say that. But the whole purpose of the bucket system is to show you, hey, that 4 bucket, that 60 to 80 range is actually a good bucket to select golfers from. In fact, we've seen one every single year dating back to 2013. And then again, that's for the Wells Fargo Championship, not so much TPC Potomac. But you can see the minimums are 1 for each of those buckets. So I really don't mind that strategy if you want to select one guy from each of those buckets. We can go ahead and take a look at some of these top ones. Probably going to stay away from bucket 3 and 4, but we can look at bucket 1 and 2 just to see if we want to grab one guy from either of those buckets. Like, would it be comfortable to do that? So recent form ones is just Corey Connors, Matt Kuchar, Johnny Vegas. Is that true? We only have 3? We only have 3. The projection isn't very high. I do like Corey Connors quite a bit. I'm not going to be afraid to play Matt Kuchar at this tournament, and I'm also not going to be afraid. Actually, Johnny Vegas is coming off a surgery, now that I think of it. Probably be a bit cautious there. I think I can go without playing Johnny Vegas. But Corey Connors, Matt Kuchar, I'm considering playing Corey Connors. He might be one of my anchor plays this week. We'll see. I'll double check that tomorrow when we look at marquee tee times. But yeah, I'm liking Corey Connors this week quite a bit. I know I'm not the only one, but when it comes to the buckets, obviously I'm showing you guys not a bad choice. Recent form 2s. Now, unlike recent form 1s where you see the projection was 0 to 1 and it's pretty low, this bucket is 2 to 4, projecting somewhere between 2 to 4, which means pretty much no matter what, we're going to see at least 1. But I'm giving it like an 80% chance we have at least 2. Probably like a 60% chance if we have 3. I know the math is weird there, but I really like the chances we're going to see 3. Actually, I can't say that without looking at the player pool. Tony Finau, Matt Fitzpatrick, 2 guys in the 10K range. Then we got Hatton, Leishman, Bradley, Woodland, Patrick Reed. So I think just looking at 8K and above, Siwoo Kim, Max Homa, I could say there's a really good chance of 2 of these guys being inside the top 10. And when I come down here and I see some of these other guys, we already talked about Lahiri, we already talked about Lipsky. Nate Lashley was one of those buckets we didn't really talk about, but he is there. Yeah, I think, we can even talk about Sepp Straka. I know and Aaron Rai. I really like Aaron Rai. Matt Jones, also 9K last week. He got a considerable price decrease. Don't mind Matt Jones, although now I see his last week finish, probably avoiding him. 59th place, that's one of those buckets you just want to avoid, essentially. But like a Lipsky, even a Brandon Wu, Anirban Lahiri, yeah, I could see some of these other guys being inside the top 10. So I have no issue grabbing at least 2, if not 3 guys from this bucket. And it's not a very deep bucket. We have, what, 26 golfers in it? So I'd say pick somewhere between 2 to 4, just like the projection says. 2 to 4. I'm comfortable going with 3, at least 3, and I'm kind of teetering on 4. We'll see. We'll see how lineups look like mixing this all in together. Going from there, we already talked about salaries, but we can go ahead and take a look at the buckets for salaries. Now, again, this is the Wells Fargo Championship. This is really looking at, I mean, it does include 2017's Eagle Point when the Wells Fargo was played at Eagle Point Golf Course. And then each of the years it was played at Wells Fargo, because I think it would have been 2018, 2019. It was canceled in 2020 and 2021. So we can kind of see you're going to want a 10K golfer. 9K isn't a for certain. It's 0 to 2. 8K is going to be 0 to 2 as well, since this number isn't over 2. So it's basically 10Ks and 7Ks. Those are the 2 salaries that I can tell you kind of in confidence you should play. Here's another interesting thing. The low 6K range. Probably the lowest projection I've ever seen. There's 52 golfers in that bucket this year. That's extremely low. It almost feels incorrect, but it isn't. Everything is matching out to be what it should be. It has 1 strength of field point in there, and that mixed with the success rate, not very good. So 0.01 to 0.02, not good. So if we're constructing a lineup just by looking at these buckets, 10K seems pretty reasonable. 7K, maybe 2 of them, and a high 6K looks pretty good. And then I'm probably also mixing in a 9 and an 8 some way, maybe together. Maybe I do the 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. Maybe I do a 10, 8, 8, 7, 6, 6. I don't know, something like that. But I'm probably just going to stay with the 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. And you can kind of see the frequency rates for those buckets. The 10, 8, 7, and 6K buckets all show up inside the top 10 at least once every single year at this event. So take with that as you will. The last thing to talk about are the strokes gained buckets. Now, looking at historical stats for this tournament, I think is difficult, especially when it comes to strokes gained stats. A lot of this is going to be looked at by the strength of field points, although there's a high success rate for strokes gained 1 golfers showing up inside the top 10. Usually we have 9. This year we have 5. And we see a minimum of at least 4 inside the top 10, a minimum of 1 in the optimal lineup. Hey, there's a minimum of 2 from the strokes gained 3 bucket in the optimal lineup as well. Now this goes back to 2017, so there's actually decent data when it comes to looking at this and trying to figure out the frequencies of them. So I don't mind, kind of strokes gained stats are really difficult to try to build your lineups around, but it does feel like a really good shot. Strokes gained 3 finishes inside the top 10, at least 1 of them. Same goes with strokes gained 1. So I probably will anchor these buckets down when I build my lineups. This looks good. And if we take a look, these colors on here are coded based off of their strokes gained stats. So you can see Rory's a strokes gained 1. All of his strokes gained stats are positive. Basically your best golfers are going to be up here. Gary Woodland fits that bill, surprisingly. Same with Seamus Power. Look at that, 10th, ranked 10th, $8,300. He's going to be played by a lot of people this week. Then we're looking at the strokes gained 2. That's headed by Abram Answer, which didn't play terribly last week, but still I'm not sure how he's really dealing with his injury that he's recovering from. I think he has a back issue. Probably going to stay away from Abram Answer, but either way, your strokes gained 2 bucket is pretty large with some decent golfers in it. Like, I know a lot of people will be on Cameron Young. I like Sergio this week. I'm going to fade Abram Answer. I don't really care. I don't mind Keith Mitchell or Brian Harmon or Sepp Straka at this event. And then some of your guys down here like Kramer Hickok, Satoshi Kodaira. I'm a big believer in Curtis Thompson. I just don't know about this week. And then Vince Whaley. I think those are solid plays. Yeah, your big chunk of golfers, I think it's just based off of sheer numbers. This is a volume-driven bucket, but you've got Tony Finau in it, Corey Connors, Keegan Bradley, Russell Henley, and Paul Casey. So those 5 golfers alone, let's include Max Homa and Siwoo Kim too. So really, these 7 golfers alone can play really well here, and I think they probably will. So I don't mind, you know, kind of going with this or going with this bucket and kind of sticking to it. So I don't mind, like I said, anchoring with the Corey Connors. And then I also don't mind mixing in like Russell Henley to go with Corey Connors, or maybe Aaron Rai and Anirban Lahiri. I don't mind doing something like that, having those 3 golfers in my lineup together. The projections for that, somewhere between 2 to 4. So I don't mind doing that. So that was strokes gained. Tomorrow what we'll do is we'll look at the anchor buckets, the ones that we really want to be focusing around. Plus we'll get our 4 new golfers who are qualifying for this tournament through the Monday qualifier or whatever, to make this field 156, because all that I have loaded right now is 152 golfers, because that is all that DraftKings gave us. Again, there's usually qualifiers for this tournament, and there just happens to be for this one. So we'll get the next 4 in there. It's probably not really going to change the buckets that much. It usually never does, because if you're qualifying for an event, you're probably not the greatest golfer. Like, obviously, you either lost your PGA Tour card or you're trying to gain one. Most of the time, Monday qualifiers aren't going to do that well. Corey Connors was the last one to win a tournament off a Monday qualifier, I think, if I remember correctly. But either way, unless there's a notable name, I'm not too worried about who's coming from the Monday qualifier. And yeah, that's all I have for buckets, because again, we don't have last year. We don't have course history. New golf course, one that we haven't seen for a very long time. So really hard to justify how to use the buckets with that. And since I don't really have a database where I could say, hey, pull from TPC, Potomac, I have to kind of stick with just the event history. So we're just looking at Wells Fargo Championship, and I don't feel comfortable talking about last year in course history. So don't have to explain that. I think you guys understand. I got to get out of here because I am going to be recording a pod with the guys at The Turn. If you haven't seen them, they're on YouTube. I can't remember their full name. I think it's The Turn Podcast, something like that. So check that out. I'm sure that'll be a good one. I think I'm talking with Andrew Poor, I think his name is. I think Joe Nicely is out. So go check that one out. And check the Fantasy Golf Guys Thursday night. I usually am on that one. I don't think I'll be there this week. I actually said I wasn't going to be there, but plans have kind of changed. So we'll see. We'll see about that. And again, a reminder, giveaways. If you want a chance to win some money, subscribe, comment down below. I chose the topic of your favorite 9K golfer and above. You can leave whatever comment you want. You get a free entry into it. And then if you want to play Prize Picks for free or for a discounted price, I'm going to give you $20 if you sign up using the promo code SweetSpot and put at least $20 in your account. They're going to deposit match you up to $100, so make your choice. You want to put $20 in and play for free? Do you want to put more in it to get more of a deposit match? Totally up to you. There's a link in the description for that. And again, the cheat sheet's available to you guys. That's also in the description. And the optimizer will be available tomorrow. If you want that, please email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com, and also be subscribed and comment down below. I'll ask you for that information just to make sure you're participating, and then I'll reward you with an optimizer. So anyways, that's all that I have. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you at the strategy video tomorrow, or in the strategy video tomorrow. All right, bye.